remote corner of the South Pacific, National Geographic explorer Enrique Sala leads an elite team into a hidden world in search of an underwater Eden where humans rarely venture and sharks rule.
Sharks everywhere.
This is amazing. You don't see this almost anywhere else in the world.
Diving into unpredictable seas and untamed nature in a daring exploration of a wilderness under the waves. What they find could hold the key to saving the world's oceans. Tahiti, the South Pacific. A small group of scientists is on a mission with a nearly impossible goal. Find the last stretches of ocean that remain as they were before man. Leading the expedition is Dr. Enrique Sala, a National Geographic explorer and research scientist at Spain's National Council.
What I'm doing to help protect the ocean is come to places like this, wild, pristine places, explore them, understand how they work, and raise awareness. Tell people what the ocean used to be like, to try to build this global community of people who really care, ocean lovers, and all together we can help protect the ocean.
It's a challenge he's met before. He's helped create protected areas in the Sea of Cortez and the Caribbean. The coral reefs of Tahiti are a mecca for scuba divers. We perceive them to be some of the healthiest in the world.
Coral reefs are the rainforest of the sea. They have the greatest biodiversity in the oceans. Of all the fish species that live in the sea, 1/3 live in coral reefs.
Life appears to flourish here. Thousands of fish feed on plankton and algae. They are prey for numerous ocean dwellers, jacks, snapper, and morays, mid-sized carnivores. And then, sharks. They rule the food chain in a way we've come to expect. An abundance of small prey sustaining a few top predators.
These reefs seem so beautiful. This is what we think is natural. It's our baseline, the model we use to measure the health of coral reefs.
But Enrique can see that this paradise is in trouble.
This used to be a really nice coral forest with really big corals, but now most of the corals are very small and most of them are dead and covered by algae.
Human impact has taken a destructive toll. To Enrique's surprise, the sharks here are small in size and few in number. To find a truly pristine ecosystem, Enrique must leave Tahiti and push further into unexplored territory.
What I need to do is establish an accurate baseline for what a healthy reef looks like. I've come to believe that sharks are the key. Their size and their number tell us when an ecosystem is healthy. So finding these remote reefs will be like going back in time, back to the way all our reefs were before humans altered them.
He hopes that each unique reef he explores will offer a different snapshot of a pristine ecosystem. The sharks he's about to encounter have likely never seen humans before. In the port of Papeete, Tahiti, the quest begins. The research team boards a floating laboratory called the Hanse Explorer. The destination is nearly 500 miles away. The Southern Line Islands, a remote chain belonging to the country of Kiribati. Over 30 days at sea, they'll cover nearly 2,000 miles on a journey to the tiny atolls of Flint, Vostok, Starbuck, Malden, and Millennium. 5 unique islands, 5 pieces to the puzzle. On board, the team preps for its mission.
This one, then after that. F4.
It sounds like we're going to be in that area as well. We'll be honest. Yeah. That's the guy that...
They are marine ecologists, fisheries experts, microbiologists.
Hold on, Enrique.
The team even includes a land-based scientist. Explorer Mike Fay will be surveying island ecology above the water. The team will explore these unique outposts of marine life. Then, Enrique will present the findings to the government of Kiribati in a bid to create a new protected area. 35 hours later, the ship arrives at Flint Island. 2.5 miles long and less than a mile wide, a tiny speck in the vast Pacific. Flint, like all the islands the expedition will visit, is the top of an ancient volcano, ringed by a steep reef and surrounded by deep ocean.
The reef here is so short, so the waves are breaking right there. So it's impossible to dive on the windward side. So we'll have to dive on this side here, protected from the waves, and we'll meet at lunchtime to see what's there.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. We should talk about where we're going.
Just go.
They want to go.
Census down there.
They'll dive at sites around the entire island.
We'll start here, and this will be the first one.
Reefs never fully explored.
Concentrate on the driving. Let her load the boat.
They will face a host of dangers.
Diving here is not for the faint-hearted.
We have assembled a group of marine experts from around the globe. Each is an authority in their field.
Hundreds of miles from civilization, if anything goes wrong, they're on their own.
Our first dive. We are finally here. This is the most amazing place. It is so remote. We've seen nothing like it. These walls, this sheer drop-off, the entire bottom covered with coral. There is not even space for sand. It is unbelievable. There are only maybe 10 places in the world like this. There are schools of small fish everywhere.
For Enrique to understand how the system works, he must learn what it's made of.
If you can estimate the abundance of each species and the average size of the individual animals, then you can estimate their biomass. Biomass
is the weight of each type of fish on the reef. The team already knows the average weight and size of each species. So by estimating their numbers, they can calculate how much each population weighs. Knowing the biomass of the different species gives Enrique a picture of how the reef functions. What they find at Flint Island is a surprise.
It's such a rich place, but something is missing. Where are the big sharks?
For a reef this remote and vibrant, there are far fewer sharks than Enrique expected. It's generally believed the rules underwater follow a similar pattern to those on land. Huge numbers of plant eaters sustain a smaller number of carnivores. At the top, an even smaller number of apex predators, like sharks, cap the pyramid.
What we see here is like going to the African savannah and finding lots of zebras and antelope, but very few lions.
The absence of sharks is a clue that something may be wrong at Flint Island. To complete the ecological survey, the team must also explore the islands above water. Mike Fay's specialty.
It's all good until the very last second.
Mike is a conservationist and National Geographic explorer in residence. He's been instrumental in establishing protected areas in Gabon, Africa.
Getting you in that island is going to be more dangerous than walking through Gabon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mike will go ashore, if he can make it.
Looks like that's about the only place that doesn't have breakers right there.
Mike may be the first visitor here in years.
Radio back.
The only way for Mike to reach Flint Island is to swim through powerful waves and risk being ripped to shreds on the jagged reef. He needs to enter a narrow cut, then climb onto the reef and pick his way to shore.
Yes, go, 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 go. To the right, to the right, right.
Breaking waves push him toward the reef. Undertow sucks him back. The inflatable is no use. Too far in, these powerful waves will rip it to shreds. Mike is in trouble. Caught between the heavy surf and a powerful undertow, Mike Fay is exhausted. Desperate, he waves for help.
Go get him, go get him.
Enrique Sala jumps in.
Keep going, keep going.
But Mike's trapped in the surf zone. Enrique can't reach him without putting himself in danger. Finally, a break in the waves, and they swim to safety. The mission to Flint Island will have to wait for now.
Oh, man.
Later, when the waves calm, Mike tries again and succeeds. He finds an island shaped by man. In the 1870s, the native plants were stripped and tens of thousands of palm trees planted to produce coconut oil. About 30 years later, the island was abandoned and left isolated by the pounding surf. Below the ocean swell, the the science team looks to the coral for clues to its health and for signs of human impact. Marine ecologist Jennifer Smith's goal is to determine just how much of the seafloor is alive. Coral and algae are the backbones of the reef and can be a barometer of the health of the ecosystem. Jen has documented coral all over the world, but nothing she's seen compares to Flints Reef.
Just spectacularly dominated by coral. I've never seen so much coral in my life. I can take 20 to 40 photographs of the bottom in a pretty big area in one dive.
Jen finds that coral covers an astounding 90% of the bottom, over 3 times more than other reefs in the Indo-Pacific.
We're able to account for the 3-dimensionality of the reef. The coral cover would be well over 100%.
Flints Reef is a living wall of coral colonies made up of tiny individuals called polyps. Each one is a tube topped by a mouth and a ring of tentacles to capture tiny animals. But coral's most unique adaptation is a type of algae living inside them. The algae uses sunlight to create energy, some of which it gives to the coral. It's this symbiotic algae that gives coral its color.
You can tell if a coral colony is healthy by its color. And when a coral is stressed, it basically turns white or bleaches.
Marine ecologist David Obura examines the effects of stress on the coral.
If they're diseased, they might have a pale coloration to them or some sort of growth growing on them.
David predicts how coral resists stress from its surroundings. Like an attack from the crown of thorns starfish, a voracious coral predator.
What I'm seeing here is that these are very healthy coral systems.
Both Jennifer and David's data have found Flints Reef to be exceptionally healthy. Enrique has found the missing piece of the puzzle. Sharks. Hunting just below the breaking waves, ready to strike unsuspecting fish in the tumbling surf. Sharks keep fish populations under control and maintain the delicate balance between plants, coral, and fish.
So I saw a couple of black-tip sharks, but they were not very abundant, eh?
No, and they're quite small as well. So this place has been fished.
So 400 miles from Tahiti, and people come here to fish sharks, eh?
And it doesn't take much effort. You can see the impact. There's, all the sharks are very small. They're not as abundant as they would be in other places. So remoteness is not often the protection that they need.
Flints Reef is robust, but the sharks Enrique finds are small, few and far between. Fishing has clearly affected shark populations, even at this remote island sanctuary. So the team presses on in search of the perfect reef and more sharks. It's an overnight journey to an even more remote location, Vostok Island.
And the banting is 2 dives in the morning. Correct. And then in the afternoon, whatever we do is just fantastic. So.
In the morning, the island appears impossibly small. First sighted in 1820 by a Russian explorer and named for his ship, Vostok is less than a square mile of dry land in a vast ocean, unique because of its size.
It is probably the most pristine island because it's so small it has never had human habitation, and the forest is the native tree. There are no coconut trees on this island. This is the tropical forest as it should be.
The abundance of life on Vostok's reef surpasses Enrique's expectations.
A huge school of barracuda. What an amazing sight. There are so many more fish of every single family. Schools, hundreds of surgeonfish, jacks, parrotfish.
Nearly twice as many fish than at Flint, a larger island with a bigger reef.
And large snappers everywhere. They are the most abundant predator on the reef, ready for any opportunity, any weakness, any mistake. They even eye me. If they were any bigger, we would be in trouble. The corals are still more spectacular. They cover the bottom, and they are larger than at Flint. And then the sharks. Lots of sharks.
Black tips, white tips, and gray reef sharks. Where there are more sharks, there's more of everything else. Carnivores, prey, even coral. Sharks are a clear sign that this system is healthy and undisturbed.
We had no idea what we were going to find, and we found a treasure. We thought Vostok is the most pristine place we've seen so far. Vostok is an Eden in the ocean.
Above the reef, Mike Fay has been a castaway on tiny Vostok Island for 3 days. What he's found is more reminiscent of Darwin than anyone could imagine. Enrique Sala joins Mike Fay to see what he's discovered on Vostok Island.
Mike Robinson Crusoe.
To understand the entire island ecosystem, the land must be studied as well.
How is Vostok?
After 3 days, you know every bird, you know every plant, you know every lizard.
This is the most gorgeous small island I've ever seen in my life.
You wait till you see this forest. It's nuts. And the canopy's completely 100%, yeah. Absolutely.
Look at the
That's
line.
about the only place that doesn't have breakers right there.
Vostok is like a time machine. This is the only place that looks like the Pacific 200 years ago.
This is Hotel Vostok over here.
You didn't have any trouble with your neighbors, huh?
No, well, the coconut crabs are really curious. See, there he is right there.
Oh, yes. Look at this. Wow.
He's been around all 3 days.
This is like being in the Galapagos when Darwin got there for the first time.
Exactly.
The animals don't know people. And this is paradise.
Because they're just really curious.
Unlike virtually every other South Pacific island, the forest ecosystem on Vostok is natural, despite the presence of an unusual and precious commodity.
So here's just a pure mat of guano, and it kind of feels like,
You can feel it.
yeah, it's like a soft wrestling mat or something like that. It's just pure, absolute, rich
Guano, bird dung, excreted by millions of seabirds over centuries, rich in phosphates and nitrogen.
Resource was used up.
In the mid-1800s, these islands were stripped of this black gold for fertilizer. Vostok's diminutive size protected it from guano mining.
This is what people destroy this island for.
Yeah, really incredible.
Mike leads Enrique to nesting seabirds on the windward side of the island.
They are not shy, eh?
So you can sit down like this. Hello. Hello. So that's
could be
Daddy.
Dad.
Yeah. They're like, what are you doing out here, guys?
Spared from human encroachment, the birds have no reason to fear people. Mike's documented 8 species of seabirds here. Frigates, boobies, and terns are among the residents, feeding in the rich waters. But the ocean currents carry more than food to the island's shore. Trash litters the beach even here. Evidence of modern life on an island virtually unchanged for hundreds of years.
The hand of man is very light here. There's no doubt about that.
Probably the only island left in the entire Pacific Ocean where you have the native vegetation. You are inside the forest and you hear all these noises of the birds. You hear the roaring waves. And underwater, there is this colorful universe. It's so unbelievable. The only island that hasn't been touched. Maybe it's the last one.
In Vostok, they have their first snapshot of a pristine island. Now, they want to see a place that's equally uninhabited, but swept by different currents with a different climate. The ship heads northwest, 36 hours and nearly 370 miles, to Starbuck Island. Starbuck is over 5 miles long and 2 miles at its widest, marked by only a handful of palm trees. Starbuck gets little rainfall. Low-growing plants dot the baking coral rubble. Enrique and his team are anxious to see how the parched landscape above has affected the reef below.
Wow, this is so different from Vostok and Flint. Half of the bottom is algae, basically one species of green alga. This is a different kind of healthy reef ecosystem. Nutrient-rich water coming up from below fertilizes the shallows, making it even more productive.
The result is an explosion of life, from the plants to the sharks.
One cannot help but feel the sense of awe and wonder when you're diving and seeing this diversity, this nature, raw nature in its pure state.
Fisheries ecologist Alan Friedlander and marine ecologist Jen Cassell identify and count the swirling masses of fish.
What we're trying to do is get comprehensive estimates of not only the numbers, but the sizes of animals. And the sizes are really important because that's how you get an estimate of weight or biomass.
A high biomass means a large number of fish, which usually means a healthy reef. What they find is beyond their expectations.
If you were able to get all the fish together and weigh them, the biomass here would be among the largest on coral reefs ever measured.
Wow.
I just don't want to be
There were so many fish.
I had like 150 species. It was crazy. Yeah, the sharks are big and fat,
healthy,
and lots of big,
active.
lots of big jacks chasing around all the little plankton horses.
There is one shark swimming around right now.
They've discovered that Starbuck has the second largest biomass of all studied coral reefs. There is 8 times more life here than the Hawaiian Islands or the Florida Keys. Even more surprising, Enrique sees a different picture of the reef emerging.
What we see here is that the biomass of predators is actually larger than the biomass of the fish they eat.
Pound for pound, there are more predators here than prey.
At Flint, Vostok, and now here at Starbuck, the biomass pyramid is actually upside down. This questions everything we know about the healthy reef ecosystem.
You guys have a lot of sharks now. Yeah, we have a lot of sharks.
The discovery only deepens the mystery. Enrique wonders how it's possible for a stable ecosystem to have so many predators. The richness of Starbuck's reef ends with the breaking waves. Enrique and National Geographic photographer Brian Scarry join Mike Fay on Starbuck. Mike's been here for 3 days, exploring the island's legacy. In 1872, more than 100 guano miners labored here. In 1920, it was abandoned, left to the few native shrubs and desert-like conditions. Starbuck's barren landscape is a stark contrast to its vibrant underwater world. The crew wonders what their next stop will reveal, an even larger atoll. It's a 125-mile overnight run northeast to Malden Island. Roughly triangular, nearly 15 square miles, this is the largest island the crew will visit. Malden is covered in low grasses and shrubs. It was mined for guano between the 1850s and the 1920s. In 1958, Malden was the test site of 3 low-altitude nuclear bombs. Enrique wonders how Malden's underwater landscape has survived. they find a reef exploding with life.
This place is really, really wild. It's more amazing than we imagined. These are the biggest coral colonies we've seen so far. There is more fish diversity, and there are so many sharks.
At least 10 times more sharks than other reefs around the world. And more parrotfish, grazers that transform the reef.
When they eat the algae, they also take a little bit of coral or a little bit of dead coral skeleton. You see them swimming, and then you have this trickle of sand. So the parrotfish help create sand, and they keep the algae in check.
Sharks and algae-eating fish are only part of a complex biological system. To understand why these reefs are so populated, the team must look beyond what's visible. Microbiologists Forrest Rohr, Katie Barrett, and Liz Dinsdale study microscopic viruses and bacteria known as microbes. Thousands of different microbes can live on coral. By taking water samples, the scientists hope to determine what's living on this reef. As in our own digestive system, bacteria help maintain a healthy balance. But harmful microbes can sometimes turn deadly. The team is trying to learn why sudden changes can spur this bad bacteria to grow and kill the coral, and why, once a reef is damaged, this killer bacterium grows even faster.
And we don't really know where this increase in bacterial communities are coming from. So we're wondering if corals and algae on the reef are actually producing chemicals which increase the bacteria.
Liz Dinsdale places microbe samples in tanks with coral or algae.
We can identify which organism actually enhances the growth of the bacteria in the environment.
Flourishing reefs keep bad microbes in check. But Liz has discovered certain algae found on damaged reefs release food for bacteria and can cause bad bacteria to grow out of control. Development, fishing, and pollution upset the delicate balance between algae and coral. If algae gains the upper hand, it can cause a bacterial explosion which can wipe out the coral. There are 10 times more microbes on reefs degraded by man. But the pristine reefs of the southern Line Islands are among the most robust Enrique has ever studied. More corals, more fish, and many more sharks. It's an entirely new picture of the biomass pyramid of a finely tuned reef. Enrique believes that here, the fish that feed on algae and plankton reproduce faster than on reefs disturbed by man, providing a constant supply of prey to fuel the mass of carnivores, sustaining more sharks than ever thought possible. 500 miles away, Enrique hopes to find a similar model and prove the new discovery. Millennium Atoll is a lagoon surrounded by a string of islands. A very different landscape from the islands the expedition has visited so far. The outer reef breaks the ocean waves and protects a peaceful lagoon with a surprising secret. Inside Millenniums Lagoon, Enrique Sala makes an unexpected discovery. Black-tip reef sharks swarm the flats.
You know, how many sharks are there here? Maybe 50? You know, this is amazing. You don't see this almost anywhere else in the world. The sharks are the species that go away the first when humans arrive to a place. This is a symptom of the health of the system. This system is really healthy, really pristine.
Inside the lagoon, an obstacle course of reefs and pinnacles is nearly impassable by boat. Enrique explores the living labyrinth.
This place is so beautiful, it's incredible. There is so much coral of just one species of acropora, of branching coral. It looks really, really healthy. And it covers the entire bottom. All these columns, all these reefs are just coral. Living coral, it's unbelievable.
Columns reach from the depths, decorated with impossibly delicate shapes, home to countless small fish.
Inside the reef, between the corals, there are all these giant clams with electric green and blue colors.
The lagoon is a nursery for sharks and many other species. A unique underwater landscape, undamaged by the human footprint.
Hey, Mike. Shipwrecked again because of you.
Man, this is the most gorgeous campsite.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Mike Fay has been here for a week, exploring all of the small islands called motus that ring the lagoon. Near Mike's camp are breeding tropic birds.
This is the only spot in the whole island that we know of that has the tropic birds nesting. So most of them have chicks right now, various sizes.
It's amazing that we can approach them this closely. I've never seen birds so unafraid of humans.
Mike believes that Millennium is truly the storybook South Pacific. One of the few places on Earth as abundant as it was 2 centuries ago. Yet even at Millennium, there's disturbing evidence of man.
Hey! These are the hooks that I found this morning at Millennium.
Enrique believes that fishing is the greatest threat to this finely balanced system.
Well, we definitely need to do something about this and prevent the destruction of the reefs.
The Southern Line Islands may be on the verge of exploitation, but it's not too late. There's still time to protect this pristine ecosystem.
Have a good dive.
Enrique takes a final dive at the northeast tip of Millennium.
I jumped in the water at Millennium and oh my God, incredible, incredible, incredible. This is the most beautiful place I've seen. There are so many crevices and overhangs. Wherever you look, there is life.
Millennium is a hidden treasure in perhaps the last unspoiled archipelago in the world. Enrique has found his Eden, a place where coral reefs look like they did hundreds of years ago, ruled by predators.
When you see the entire fabric of nature, then you feel that you are connected to the planet. There are sharks everywhere, circling around us, more and more of them. This place is really, really wild. If we understand how nature works here and use these places as baselines to understand our impact on the oceans, then we have a chance to bring back as much as we can. We must save these pristine ecosystems. They are the last unspoiled places in the ocean. And they are the key to preserve the health of the oceans and ensure our own survival.